If you watched my recent Kentucky Fried Chicken diorama build assembly, in the glamour shots at the end, you probably noticed that I have a handful of these old beat to hell Hot Wheels Redline Silhouettes. Like this one with no wheels, three bearings, those are going to come off. The glass is actually pretty decent on it. This had stickers on it, so a kid obviously threw stickers on it. But they're all, like I've said before, I have a lot of red lines. Most of them are like in this kind of condition. The body on this is great. There's a lot of very positive features to this casting. It's just wheels aren't one of them. I use the Vicks bit since this has the super tiny red line posts. The Vicks bit makes it easier for me to drill these out. And so I used it, drilled it apart. The engine, everything else is in pretty good shape. I mean, it needs to be re-chromed. I end up pulling the original wire axles off of here because I want to replace it with my own. That's easy enough to do. You've seen me do this before using the 3D printed bearings. So all the pieces here are in reasonably good shape. And I had an idea. This suddenly hit me one day recently as to what I wanted to do with one of these silhouettes because I thought it would look, in my mind, it would look wicked. And I may do another one of these to make it even more extremely wicked, if that makes any sense. But I ended up filing the post after drawing them just to flatten them out a little bit, take some of the rough edges off. And, at that point, I want to tap the posts. Fortunately, the silhouette, you're lucky. I mean, even though the posts are thin, they're deep. They're long posts. So you have something to work with as long as you can drill straight. And you're using the 172 bit and tap on here for the 172 screws. So it's exceptionally small, but, with a little practice, easily doable. And so here you see me just now, I'm getting ready to tap it. But I had an idea for the silhouette, and it wasn't, I wanted to try a couple things that I have, and it wasn't going to be polishing the casting, which I typically would do on this. And it wasn't going to be using the metal cast paint this time, because I wanted to try something different. So once I get this drilled and tapped, and again, I throw some temporary screws in there. I replace those when I finish it. Here you see me doing the axles. And I just threw both of the bearings on one end because then it makes marking the other end easier for me to then cut and crimp the ends and that kind of thing. So I thought I'd use that approach on this rather than trying to put the bearings on each end, hold the axle in tight, and then mark it on the end next to one of the bearings. Putting both bearings on one end just seemed to be a better approach. I'm not keeping it that way, obviously. There you see the fencing pliers. I use straight pins for the axles on these. The straight pins are pretty easily crimpable with the fencing pliers. I won't say it's simple, and as you're going to see here, I end up using both hands to squeeze it. But that gets you to the point that you need. The 3D bearings I do have on my Thingiverse page, and I do have a short video about them. So if you have any questions about that, you can always check that out. I put replacement Redline wheels. I did keep the Redlines. If you thought I was going to change that, I don't. I keep Redline wheels on this. These are from Bright Vision. And because I thought the Redline wheels against the paint I want to throw on this would look good. And I do love the Silhouette casting. I mean, it's a casting that came out when I was a kid, and I remember playing with it. I remember it being one of my favorite castings. That's probably why I have so many of them laying around. I've only restored or done something with, I think, 2 of them now, including this one. I did do a wheel swap on the other one, and I believe it was one of the painted pink builds, as I recall. But I don't polish the casting, after I strip the paint and use the buffing wheel on it, the Dremel buff wheel. I end up going this route. I use the chrome aluminum paint for the base. I went with Rust-Oleum black chrome over it and then the Worth gloss clear. I wanted to hit this with black chrome. That was the thought I had. And I thought it would just give it a cool look with the shape of it. I don't know why a lot of ideas regarding the Silhouette were crossing my mind over the past couple weeks. Actually, since doing that Kentucky Fried Chicken diorama and dragging them out for that, dragging some of them out for that. Various thoughts about the Silhouette have been crossing my mind. So the glass was in pretty good shape. It has some small peculiarities in it, like almost like metal shavings deep in it somehow. I mean, it's odd to me. That's the way it was before I even touched it. So I didn't get them in there somehow. So I'm not quite sure what happened, but I polished it up lightly. It didn't need a lot, and I didn't want to sand it. And then I gauzied it. And man, this little glass was a bear to try and hold with the tweezers. So you're going to see me cut away here because it took a few attempts. It may look like one here, the way I'll blend the clips together. Hopefully it'll look like one through the magic of editing. Wow, that went smoothly. I should have edited that diorama build a lot more. It would have looked like it was easy to put together. There you see, I'm using the helping hands. If you're kind of wondering what that angle is, that base is actually up off the workbench. The alligator clip attached to the helping hands is holding it, I don't know, like about an inch off the bench. I'm using the resin pin, as you can see with the light, to cure it, to hold the axles in place with some resin. Again, that's a fast, easy way to do it. Use the 2mm Molotow chrome pin on the engine. I was surprised at what good shape the engine was in because, it's one of those that sticks up above the body. So you're always kind of figuring it's going to be pretty worn down. And fortunately, this one wasn't. But it's time to throw it all together. And you'll get to see how this ended up. I actually like the white interior with the black chrome body. I think it gives it a better look than it would with a dark interior. But I could see it with a dark interior if I could put red striping on the seats or make the seats red. I mean, it'd be great if you could put red piping down the edges of the seats on the upholstery, but I don't have the hand or patience to do that kind of painting. And as you'll see, I put the tail light on this Silhouette, which some do, some don't. I don't recall if I did it on the other Silhouette I did. But again, that's difficult to do for me because of where it's located on the body. Just the positioning of it kind of makes it tough to get in there and do it smoothly. I thought about doing it with a decal, and to be honest with you, I did try it with a decal, butchered the decal, had a real hard time with that, and I didn't want much. You didn't have excess around the red to work with because of, again, where it's located. So ended up not doing that. I ended up just using some red paint, and then I went over that with micro crystal clear to give it a reflective kind of look. But all in all, I'm pretty happy again with that black chrome paint. I do have a red of the Rust-Oleum chrome paint as well that I'm going to want to try. But here you see where we started, that poor little beat to hell Redline. And I mean, when you really look at castings like this, other than the axle, the axles, the missing bearing, if you look at the casting itself and the glass and the engine, that kind of thing, it's in pretty good shape. So I don't let things like that axle problem scare me off. That's easy enough to replace. So here you see where it ended up. I really like the black chrome look on the Silhouette. I thought it would look good. I thought it would give it somewhat sinister look. Okay, maybe I'm reading way too much into this look. I thought the red of the taillight, it needed it. You know, if it was just that black chrome back there, I think it would be lacking. But I think that adds to it. So there you have it. I hope you like this build. I'm really happy with this build. For something that wasn't all that complicated of a build, I'm really happy with it. Here's some glamour shots. I hope you like this as much as I do. Everybody, stay safe and healthy out there. I'll catch you in the next one.